President Obama's re-election campaign is now in full swing, and how can we tell? Well, the attack ads are running. Watch this one.
President Obama's clean energy initiatives have helped create jobs for projects across America, not overseas. What about Mitt Romney? As a corporate CEO, he shipped American jobs to places like Mexico and China. As governor, he outsourced state jobs to a call center in India. He's still pushing tax breaks for companies that ship jobs overseas. It's just what you'd expect from a guy who had a Swiss bank account.
Neil King is joining us from Washington, D.C. Neil, I think this is just the beginning. We can expect more of the same, can't we?
We certainly can. This is the opening salvo, and it's a fascinating 30 seconds to look at. I mean, all in one go, they managed to do a little bit of positive spin because they've been under attack for Obama's energy stuff. And then they managed to launch kind of 3 attacks all at once. One is against Romney's time at Bain Capital, which is going to be a big topic in the next 6 months. The second is an opening salvo going after one of the things they allege that he did while governor of Massachusetts, which is to ship jobs overseas, evidently. And then the kicker at the end is a really big one. The whole, this is what you would expect with a guy with a Swiss bank account, is also going to be a really big theme, and that is, where did the man himself as an individual park his money, what sort of tax rate did he pay, etc. So you've got a kind of 3-pronged opening attack, and it's a pretty interesting one.
Right, and here's my take, which is somewhat along those lines. First, it accuses Mitt Romney of basically being un-American for shipping jobs overseas. Then it basically says, you know what? He's not like you and me. This guy is a rich guy who has Swiss bank accounts. And then it kind of gets in the innuendo with the Swiss bank accounts. He's probably doing something wrong. I mean, am I reading too far into this? Is there a lot of innuendo in this one?
It's filled with innuendo, and Ben LeBolt, who's the the Obama re-elect spokesman out in Chicago, he tweeted a map that they've put up on their website showing all the places that Romney family money allegedly has been put around the world, in Australia, England, etc. A lot of them in blind trusts, etc. So this is going to be a big push on their part, and it is filled with a lot of innuendo. That's politics at this level.
Now, will it work, Neil? And by that I mean the following. Any wealthy person, I mean, I know plenty of wealthy people, it is not that unusual, believe it or not, for people, even who aren't that wealthy, to have Cayman Island accounts or Swiss bank accounts, and that's for good tax reasons and tax planning. It has nothing to do with kind of stashing money secretly away. Does this idea that you're doing something wrong, even though it is not illegal, does that play with the American people? I think, for example, of Apple. The Times piece about Apple, quote unquote, avoiding taxes. There's the implication here, there's something wrong, even if it's not illegal. Will that work with the American people?
I think it's a tiny percentage of people that really do have the wherewithal, accounting wherewithal or otherwise, to put money in faraway places. And I don't think that people begrudge Romney or anybody else their wealth, but having talked to people around the country covering the primary campaign, you did hear from people, or I should say, hear from people about Cayman Islands and Switzerland, and that just raises suspicions in people's minds, and yeah, I think it does have some effect. Yeah, I think it could be effective.
Now, the Romney campaign is not sitting still. They are fighting back, or maybe they launched this one before the Obama campaign ad. This has to do with Solyndra. I think we'll be hearing more of this. Let's take a look, Neil.
The government gives Solyndra $500 million in taxpayer money. Politics as usual. Within the administration, the company's potential collapse had long been discussed, knowing all along Solyndra would have to fire their workers. But Solyndra held off until after the 2010 elections. 1,100 workers had no idea they would be fired.
Does this Solyndra, let's call it debacle, does this one have legs? Does the whole clean energy effort, which has basically come up short in many of the respects that the Obama White House would want, does that have legs in the public mind?
I think it does, and we are going to hear so much about Solyndra. I've been looking pretty closely at attack ads that various conservative groups have done, and that one, by the way, I believe was Americans for Prosperity, an outside group, not the Romney campaign itself. But this has a lot of different themes to it. One is, Obama said certain things during the campaign. He would never take money from lobbyists, from special interests. Well, he took money from these people at Solyndra. Then the money went to them. The thing went bankrupt, et cetera. So they're going to use that a lot in looking at it in different ways. And I've already, looked at some of the ads that some of these groups have put out that are mentioning Solyndra. I think pretty much, I'd say a large percentage of ads going forward are going to make at least passing reference to Solyndra because it's so well known.
Final question for you, Neil. When will these ads actually make an impact on people's brains? Meaning, we're in early May. Do people wake up, or do they look at these ads now, or are they basically just going to wake up in late August or September and finally focus on the ads?
You know what this is right now, and it's fascinating that the Obama people came out with this ad today, and they're running it in 3 states, Iowa, Ohio, and Virginia. It's all about early attempts to formulate an image, an impression around Mitt Romney, who's not wildly well known among kind of normal voters. And that's where the battle is. But you're right, the real movement among voters, the real decision-making period is, in October and in early November. People decide late for the most part, the people that matter, that is, the 8 or 9% that are really out there to be swayed either way. But this is all the battle for the early impressions, and those battles matter too.